Hey folks, welcome back to another video. Hope you all enjoyed my thoughts slash episode of Arrow Season 2, Part 1 and 2. And now continuing with the show. Before I do that though, remember guys, the channel's name is Levi McNally93. Definitely recommend my channel to people if you can, your friends, family, coworkers. I appreciate it. Thank you guys for the 390 subscribers. I really appreciate it. That's awesome. We're getting close to 400. Keep on subscribing, guys. And also, you're welcome to share my channel too. Remember, it's Levi McNally93 with a mask profile picture on it. So, go. This is another Arrow video, but before I get to that, I just want to say thank you for that. And also, when you subscribe to my channel, make sure to click the little bell. There's a little bell you can click, and it will, all personalized. That way, you'll know when I upload a video, or do community. Sorry. Anyway, today I'm giving my thoughts slash favorite episodes of Arrow season 3. Now, I know for a lot of people, this is where the show kind of went downhill for some people, and I will admit this is not. I do like season 3. Yes, I didn't hate the season as most people did, but believe me, I do have my problems with it. But I do think it's a bit of a step down from the first two seasons. The first two seasons of Arrow are the best, in my opinion, so far, thus far. But I'm at the point of the show where I'm like, there's some things that maybe piss me off in here, but not enough to like, I hate this season completely. There is a crossover episode with the Flash in here, but I would not be talking about that. It's called The Brave and the Bold. I would not be talking about that. Yeah, there's that episode of Brave and the Bold, as you see, varies about they have the Flash show. I think season one of the Flash was going on because this was around 2014 when they filmed this show, and when the Flash started out, and Arrow was on its third season. I did like the season, but believe me, I do have some problems with it, which I will discuss throughout the video. And I have one least favorite episode that I did hate, and one episode that was okay. Yeah, the other two are on the back, and it's 23 episodes. So, and there are spoilers. So if you've never seen Arrow season 3, turn the video off right now. If you've never seen the show at all, any of it, turn it off. Now I'll go ahead and talk about the plot synopsis and some of the synopsis. You might as well stop watching the video now because there are some spoilers in talking about this, even in talk about the plot of the season. So I just don't want to spoil it for yourself. So there's some spoilers coming up, and so the plot of season 3 is that this time around, following Sarah's murder and the loss of his family's company to Ray Palmer, when Oliver lost that due to things, the actions of Slade, the attack on the city, he's got to deal with the consequences. And Ray Palmer, who's a new character in here, who's the Atom from the comics, and he's played by Brandon Routh. If y'all don't know who he is from DC, he was Superman in Superman Returns from 2006. So that was awesome that they got him here. Yeah, yeah. Oliver refuses to believe he can lead a normal life, continuing being the Arrow. He becomes embroiled in the conflict with Ra's al Ghul to protect his sister Theo. Felicity becomes vice president of the now renamed Palmer Technologies, and Laura sets out to follow in her footsteps, so she assumes the mantle of the Black Canary. In this season's flashback, see Oliver escape Lian Yu, only to be forced with Amanda Waller in Hong Kong. We have him in Japan. This is where I'm starting to hate the flashbacks. Yeah, they put him in Japan. You'll hear me complain a lot about that. Attempting to stop the release of a lethal apology, it's a bioweapon. Eventually, Rachel Gould tries to use it. Raish kills him. And throughout the season, Oliver has to find a way to defeat Raish. And if he's going to continue being his death, continue as being the Arrow, or is he going to quit being it? You find out all that in season 3. But yeah, like I said, you don't really have the normal cast coming back. John Barrowman comes more as Malcolm Merlin. You see, the Dark Archer, Malcolm Merlin, he comes back as Merlin. Yeah. And you have some good guests in here as well. Grant Gustin does guest. Of course, Fides. Yes, you do some guests in here as well. Benny Jones is in the season as well. But I'll go ahead and get to my favorite episodes. So, alright. And I may not upload this video tonight anyway. Maybe tomorrow. I got something I gotta do tomorrow. So, do something to do with job. So, taking a tour of a place and hopefully do a job interview. But anyway, guys, my first favorite episode of season 3 of Arrow is an episode called The Calm, which is the first season of the show. I mean, first episode of season 3. It starts off with Team Arrow, they're chasing down some criminals in a truck. And you have Roy, who's got his own suit now. Throughout the season, they call him Arsenal. He's got a cool red suit, kind of like Robin, but more the leather jacket, the hoodie, the red mask, and he gets some badass moments himself. Yeah. So they're they're chasing the truck. He's driving his cool motorcycle, and even Roy has one too. They're partners now. Uh, John in the field, they take these criminals down. They capture citizens that fell the city. Felicity ends up watching the news. Yeah. But and this season starts off with, the Arrow being claimed as a hero. Yeah, he was the Hood, a vigilante who killed, and people didn't really trust him. But since he saved the city from Slade Wilson's attack, and he's lost his company too. He gets a text from Thea on how she's doing, or can't call Thea, and it upsets Roy though. Although Roy knows about the note that Thea left him, he didn't tell Oliver yet. Yeah, yeah. And since Oliver admits that he's in love with Felicity, has feelings for her, he tries to go ahead and ask her out on a date, thanks to the help of Diggle. He just gave Diggle a present for his new baby. His newborn baby, Sarah, I think the baby's name is. Sorry. Yeah. But he can't really afford anything. They also meet Ray Palmer, who's going to take over clean, because they call it Palmer Industries or Palmer Technologies or something like that. Brandon Routh, who, unlike Superman, he doesn't have superpowers or anything. He's not awkward, but he's a funny bit of a wise guy, a wisecrack as well. And people consider him like a low budget Iron Man. He is. And he's also secretly, nobody knows this yet in the season, but he's got a suit. But he has his reasons. They see, Lance, Captain, Lance, Quentin becomes, captain of the Starling City Police Department. And he trusts the Arrow now that when the Arrow goes out to fight crime or catches bad guys, gives it to him. That they trust each other now. But he couldn't go out to the field because you remember Quentin had a heart attack near the end of season two, so he can't really go out in the field anymore. Then you have this new criminal named a new formula of Vertigo taking place of, you remember the Count from the first two seasons, but Oliver killed him by putting arrows in him for threatening Felicity's life. And this guy, when he puts, he's like, I'm going to take it over. Anybody got a problem with that? One guy does, so he kills him. Eventually, Oliver does face this guy, you know, and when he shoots his weapon at you, when he shoots his tray at you, you see he looks come to you. You imagine somebody that you fear. He asks Felicity out. She thinks that he's teasing. Eventually, they do go on a date. Felicity's gotten this huge job. She's like working in a phone company or something like that. She meets Ray Palmer, who she doesn't know who's Ray Palmer at the time. Oliver Felicity's got the like their Italian food. He knocks out a bad guy right in front of Lance. It's like, wow, was she rush? She got a date or something? And then he like smiles. Yeah. But when she meets Ray Palmer, who she doesn't know is Brendan Routh yet, he's impressed and he wants to hire her for his company. While they're on their date, though, after fighting some crime, Oliver, is able to take his suit off, put it in a bag, and I like the way he's got like his bow, like his electric bow, like kind of electronic bow, where he can shorten down. So him and Felicity go on a date, and all of a sudden he has to like grab her because in his bag, the Vertigo villain, this new Count, sees what's happening, and they said the arrows in that restaurant, so they blow the restaurant up, and Oliver's pissed and wants to go after this guy. He carries her all the way back to the arrow cave. Oliver Felicity participating in the board meeting. Like I said, when he faces Virgo out first, he loses. Ray Palmer discusses that he wants how he's going to take over the company, what he's going to do with his technology, and call it not Star City, but Star City. Then they have to go defeat, of course, go out again, beat this guy. Oliver tells Felicity, I don't think we should be together. And I just didn't ever cared about them being in a relationship, to be honest. That's the only thing I didn't care about. Oh, they share a kiss, but oh, we can't be together, so Oliver chooses not to be with her. So it's more like, oh, I'm in love with you, but I don't want to be with you because you can get hurt. Oliver, she's going to get hurt regardless. But again, I've never seen chemistry between the two. This really, putting them together, especially in season 4, the relationship gets worse. Yeah, yeah. So Roy, I also like the episode where Roy, he tries to disarm a bomb, he can't do it. So he has to freeze it, which is really cool. It works. So Black Canary shows up. That is, of course, Sarah. Uh, Ray Palmer, John gets his new baby. Him and Lila, who we're gonna get married soon this season, but they before they get married though, they get their new baby, cute little baby. Uh, Palmer tells her that he wants her to be like his vice president of the company. Yeah. And then Barry calls Oliver from the Flash, of course, to talk to him about his abilities of wearing a mask. Sarah has a brief chat with Laurel. They do defeat. It's good to see her back. Well, one thing they did at the end. Well, before I get to them in flashbacks, you see Oliver. He's in Hong Kong working for Waller. He's running away from the command. Played by Carl Yulin. You don't know who he is. If you've seen Anaconda's Hunt for the Blood Orchid, he was Trent. Yeah, he's in the show. Oliver is trying to contact his family, and this guy does like the super kick on Oliver and knocks him out. Then he wakes up inside of in this woman's house and her husband. He learns that they can speak English, and he learns that you have to be with me. You have to be with my family because Martin's starting to kill my son. So Oliver, I need you to be here, and she doesn't want you so Oliver has to be there. Then at the end of the episode, spoiler alert, Sarah gets killed. Yeah, for some reason the stupid writers they decided to kill Sarah. Sarah's up on the rooftop after having a little conversation with her sister, Laurel. She gets, she's like, Laurel, Sarah. Here's this voice talking to her. We don't see who it is. She's like, what is it? What? Why are you here? And then she gets all 3 arrows shot in her chest, and Sarah ends up dead. And then we were crying. I'm like, why do we have to start the season off this way? I know she'll come back, of course, because these letters are more, but really, writers, that's what pissed me off. Why'd you have to kill off Sarah? But it's one of my favorite stuff because I do like the new villain. And it does have a good story in there. It's some moments that does piss me off, though. Alright, then my next favorite episode is, of course, called Sarah. Hold on. That is Sarah. Yeah. We open up with seeing, Oliver, Roy, Dig, and Felicity, go, well, Roy and Felicity, sorry. John just had his, John Joe just had his baby with Lila, so they enter there, then they see Laura, Laura's there along with Sarah, her dead body on the table. She's like, well, I didn't know where else to send her. Can't take her nowhere else. They all break down crying. Oliver closes her eyes, shut and saying to Laura, I'm sorry, and then, over and over again, and they give each other a hug. Then we get the flashback when Hong Kong, and I do hate these Hong Kong scenes. I just didn't care what's going on. In my opinion, they should have left Oliver on the island. You know, Oliver learns that he has to, that, him and Corleone, they have to go on this mission to kill somebody, snipe somebody. And that somebody is Tommy Merlin. Yeah. Who got that email and believes that Oliver might be alive. Tommy's getting a call from his dad. Well, Dad, thanks to you and your useless money, I've been here. And his dad, of course, had those arguments. So it was nice to see the actor who played Tommy, who died in season one, by the way, at the end of season one, come back, a few times in this season. Laura remembers about her sister growing up. We do see their childhood a little bit. Oliver wants to find who killed Sarah. Laura decides not to tell Lance right away, which I do think she should have. I get it. He has a heart condition, but this really affects their relationship when you don't tell somebody the truth. Yeah. And he deserved to know it. At least I think he did. I think it was a mistake for Laura not to tell her father. Oliver does try to call Thea, but the phones aren't working or something like that. Oliver, just goes on the roof, just in his normal clothes, not in his suit, not dressed as the Arrow. But he imagines, investigates how it is. Dig shows up, and Dig asks him if he's okay. I'm like, Dig, he's not okay. His best friend just died. You know, pretty much ex-girlfriend too. But Oliver gets a call from Felicity that Detective Captain Lance, excuse me, Captain Lance Quinton needs to see him. Yeah, you know. Felicity's upset. She gets a call from her boss from her other work job. She says, "I can't be there. I'm sorry, been death in the family." Then we get about Hong Kong again. Oliver learns that Tommy was there because of him. Like I said, because of the email. Felicity learns that Roy is looking for Thea, but then he shows her the notes, and she's like, "You need to tell Oliver about that, Roy. For she better not be messing on my computer." Because I just haven't couldn't bring myself to tell him yet. Yeah, yeah. Again, Ray Palmer wants her to be like the vice president of his company. He wants to work for us. He thinks they do this whole thing, love triangle between Oliver and Ray. Which I didn't really care about. I hate when they do that in movies or TV shows. I hate love triangles. It's really not needed. But again, she refuses to work for him. Oliver does head out, in his arrow suit to find out who did this, kill this businessman. Businessman is Simon. Like you said, Oliver goes after the man in his arrow suit, but he gets shot off right at his bike, nearly gets killed. Oliver comes up with a better plan. He kidnaps Tommy, pretends to be somebody else, scares him enough that Tommy goes back to Starling City. Yeah, yeah. Oliver gets upset at Felicity a little bit for things that's been happening, not finding being found the man, but she breaks down. She's just too emotional, Rick, or we're having Sarah. Laura heads to the hospital. She makes her way to talk to this witness, trying to find out businessman, but he's trying to lie to her, make excuses like you can't do nothing to me because you're a lawyer. And Laura just grabs his arm and starts breaking his arms like, don't piss me off right now. He's about to tell some information, but he gets shot. Oliver does keep trying to contact Thea, his sister Thea, who left with Malcolm at the end of season 2. Laura then gives Oliver, Oliver is upset with him at first. But Oliver seems maybe understandable about it. And in this episode, when she comes across Lance Quentin, she doesn't, Laura doesn't tell him. And Ray wants to fix Star City. But then this guy Simon breaks in, goes after his target. Yeah, and you know, Arrow fights him, and Laura has a gun on him. He's like, "I'm gonna kill you. You killed my sister." He's like, "He didn't do it." That's what I was like, "I didn't kill anybody." That's what the man says. They knock him out though. You know, Oliver tells her, "Well, you need to tell Dr. Lance talk to your father about it." She goes to Quentin's office. He's just Captain Harris' own office. Tries to tell him about it, but she can't. After taking the pill because it was heart condition, she doesn't want to tell him. Yeah. That night, they give a headstone for her. They buried her, saying it's a Jewish custom. You know, Laura does take the jacket of Canary and maybe decides that she wants to become the Black Canary herself, but thinking about it. Felicity says that she wants to work with Ray. Then the episode is a quarter Matisse where you have Malcolm. He applauds Thea as she works. She's fighting two opponents. He's like, great job, Thea. And then the episode is there. But it was a really sad episode. And again, I hate that they killed off Sarah. It was really stupid to do that, but I thought the episode was good. You know. So that was Sarah. Another favorite episode of mine. Let's see. On. You piece of shit. Damn it. Ugh. Thank you. Sorry. It's Quarter Maltese. That's my next favorite episode. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah, it is Quarter Maltese. Okay. I'm sorry. Sorry for acting crazy there for a second. But, mm, just frustrated with technology. When does it work? Or in 24 minutes. Okay. This is where we get the flashback of where Thea's been. And instead of in the limo, she says that she wants to go with her will go with Malcolm. That she doesn't want to deal with pain anymore. That she wants to learn how to deal with it. Maybe he's like, I can help you control that pain. So he's gonna train. You see him train Thea like, he burns her hand with hot water. You know, he even punches Thea a couple times. You gotta deal with pain. You have to learn to deal with it. Yeah. Then the president, Oliver, who's the hero. Oliver, his arrow, is tracking down this guy. Catches this guy with his arrow. He's asking him about who killed Sarah Lance. The lady in the black, yeah. And this guy has no information, so Oliver, knocks him out. He says, "I think," and then I thought it was Oliver when Oliver like punches somebody, knocks him out. I thought that was funny. Then he says, he needs to bring Thea home. He found out that she's in Italy, Corto Maltese. I mean, Corto Maltese, not Italy. Then Roy says, "Come along." Dig is watching his babysitter. Lila walks in. Dig agrees to go, even though he says there's a job that he has to do there too. This place called Wildcat Gym. Laura approaches Ted Grant, asking about one of his students that she was looking for due to protect the kid. She did ask him later to, not on a date, of course, but she asked the guy about how to train her. She wants Oliver to train her, but she asked Ted a little later. Spoiler alert, you find out he's a vigilante himself, but we'll get to that later. Oliver and Diggle go to Corto Maltese. Oliver does find the house where she's staying at. Says Thea, and then you have a man at a bow and arrow pointing it, bow and arrow at the door, and it's Malcolm. Malcolm is able to hide. Oliver sees her. She's like working in this fast food restaurant, Corto Maltese restaurant as a waitress. They talk. She said, "I just need to get away from everything what happened with mom and you and all this." He's like, "I'll let you come home, Thea." You know, Thea does have the money to come back home and stuff, and Oliver could really use her there. Just wants her to come home. Since it's been 5 months now, I was like, I gave you your space. You should come home now. Even Roy talks to her. She drops up. The trash bag opens. Her and Roy have a little talk about their relationship. Felicity then arrives at work. Learns that she wasn't Ray's assistant, but that she had one. Like I said, Plastic Science Division that he wants to make her the vice president. We're still on camera. Big has to go on his mission. He meets this man who's jumpy at first and he tries to attack him. Says they need to get these Argus files, information about spouses and children of agents. Laura's at one of her AA meetings talking about her alcoholism and all that. She's about to talk about Sarah, but then Quentin shows up and she doesn't. She stops talking. Oliver goes with Dig and Shaw, and also Roy's there. They're just watching him. They're in this place, keeping an eye on him. They figured that his weapon was compromised. Charles then shoots at Oliver after knocking Dig out. Also, Roy tells, Sergeant Theo, tells that he's happy for her, leaves, and then you see, Malcolm's just sneaking around. Malcolm makes sure they don't see him. Dig calls Lilo, but the agents can't get there in time. Dig and Laura end up calling Felicity. Dig wants information about the buy, whereas Laura wants to go after the boyfriend of the AA girl. And she does that. She dresses up as a vigilante. She just not wearing a canary suit for the first time, but she wears her like this ski mask and the black jacket. She tries to beat this guy up, but with no luck. She gets a punch in the face. That's why at the end of the episode she gets an offer. Goes to take Grant, the guy who she talked to earlier about some information about this girl. At the end of the episode, she wants to get training from him. But she does get knocked out. She's, got like a black eye. Yeah, yeah. Thea was upset over about lying about who her father was, who Robert was, Robert Queen was. Because he tells the truth like that Robert did make it off the gambit, but Robert Queen of course shot himself, as we saw in the flashback from season one. Well, Jake is with him this time. They go to show up at this bar show for information. Oliver's able to, in the hotel room, him and Rory are able to make them like bows and arrows, which they use to fight against some bad guys. Roy learns that Oliver had made the weapons from their hotel room, like I said before. Sorry. It's the army that Shaw hired. They're fighting him. Oliver shoots one of the tires as Dick fights Shaw. He then grabs him and was like, "Why are you doing this?" About the information about the computer. And he's like, "I'd rather be dead than deal with Waller." you know, she goes, Thea wants to return with her brother to our city. So you sure you're ready? So they sword fight. And Thea wins. Her training is pretty much complete for now. So I'll be seeing you soon. Oliver and Dig wait. Roy notices Thea's coming. Thea gets, this man accidentally drops like his coffee on her finger. I mean, hand right on top of her hand right here. Doesn't, she doesn't react to it. Just wipes it off. Oliver returns to the Verdant, the nightclub. To find Laura there. She wants to ask him for training, but Oliver refuses because Sarah would never forgive him if something happened to her. As Laura meets Ted again, so she gets training from him. Ray looks into a top secret weapon that Queen Industries are working on. Ray and Oliver talk about Thea being different. Then eventually, Nissa Al Ghul, played by Katrina Law once again, shows up as like, "Where is Sarah?" Yeah, but really good episode. I like they had to deal with Thea in her past and the motherfucker. Because I love Thea as a character. Yeah, she starts with a brat, but she's grown to be mature and a bit of a badass too. My next favorite episode is The Magician. Yeah. Okay, we're 33 minutes in. Okay. Nissa's right. He says, she where she is. He's like, Oliver tells her she's dead. She was killed. She was murdered. At first, she doesn't believe Oliver, but she does accept it. Nissa leaves. You know. Then we get the flashbacks, of course, which I don't care about. Oliver, he's fooling Tyler, who's claimed that he's a terrorist. Doesn't like that Walhalla gun. Whatever going on in the flashback scenes to Hong Kong. I think you see Oliver chasing a man. He like loses him. Oliver trusts Thea, and Thea's gonna, manage the club again. She's looking for people to hire to run this, like a DJ or something like that. Yeah. So they'll, Laura's at her sister's grave. Nessa shows up, and they have a talk. She's like, "You don't deserve to wear that jacket." She just says you're not fit to wear it. Roy ends up following Nissa and she stops in an abandoned home. Roy then texts Oliver the address. It was Sarah's safe house. Oliver then learns that Sarah was, learning about rumors of Malcolm being alive. Nissa talks to Roy, Oliver, and Diggle. She reveals that Myra had informed the lead that Malcolm was alive. Yeah, because if you remember in season 2, Malcolm came to Thea. I mean, not to Thea. Myra Queen. Just before she was killed by Slade Wilson Deathstroke, threatening to, take Thea away. So she told the assassins about them. So I guess Sarah was looking for him. You know, searching for him. He found out that Malcolm Merlin had a bank piece of paper in a boot. This then asks for an open flame and reveals that the paper is written in ghost ink. Sarah consulted her father for help regarding a person named Jansen. Laura approaches her father at work to talk about it. She doesn't tell him that Sarah's dead, of course, but gets the information. Nissa follows so that they both get the information. That night, Oliver, Roy, and Dig and Nissa head to the location, a monastery, by a guy named Ken, a Buddhist monk. Malcolm helped prevent from being deported to China. They do come across Malcolm, but Malcolm gets away. You know, they think that it was Malcolm Merlin that did it, and they said that you need to kill him, but he's like, I don't kill him. No. Oliver refuses to do it. Even Laura wants him to do it. He didn't care about the flashback. It's just Oliver remembers how he killed a man in Hong Kong in the flashbacks. Nissa and Laura decide to go after him. Roy does approach Thea upstairs, who's hard at work. He offers to help her as friends and former coworkers, you know, and exes, but just to help her, just to get a job there. Diego sends Oliver to where Merlin is supposedly hiding. Him and Malcolm talk. He's like, no, I didn't kill Oliver. I didn't do this. And of course, he's not going to attack him in public. Not going to give his identity away in public. He tells them Rachel go planning a bounty on his head. He says that they came back because of Thea during the siege of, what happened with Slade Wilson. Of course, Malcolm lies, saying he kept his distance from Thea, which he did not. He's lying. Then he swears that it's like that he's not her killer. Again, lying. I'll tell you why later. Oliver meets up with Thea and asks her if she's okay. Thea does lie to Oliver herself about who saved her on the siege. Nissa heads to the foundry and learns that Malcolm served on his daughter's. Nissa's furious and tries to go kill him again. Oliver's back in the flashbacks in Hong Kong is staying with his family, Carl Yun and his family. And the woman that plays the wife, though, in the flashbacks, if you remember the character in the Wolverine, that took Wolverine to Japan, that woman, yeah, that's her here. Yeah, she was good. Thea and Roy leave the club when Nessa shows up and trains Roy. Nissa then says that she's there for Thea, not him. Malcolm's in his apartment. Thea does threaten Nissa. The arrows cut Thea. They begin to fight. Thea herself. Malcolm shows up, shoots at them. Nissa gets so mad she kidnaps Thea. Then Malcolm puts his suit on, his Dark Archer suit on. Malcolm then begins to walk away, but Oliver aims at him. He says not to kill him. He says not to. He's like, Oliver, we both know you won't. He fights with Nissa a bit. Oliver's able to break them up. Nissa walks away pissed. She punches Oliver in the face, saying, "This is all your fault. Because you won't kill Malcolm. He's gonna kill more innocent people because you won't stop him. You won't do what's needed as necessary." Oliver talks to Amanda and Amanda Waller in the past, which I hate the fact that he's in Hong Kong. I want Oliver to stay on the island. Writers of the show, keep him on the island. Why can't he just have this family on the island? I mean, come on, have some balls, and maybe put this family on the island. And somewhat Amanda Waller has a general working there for her again to do something bad. You do find it's a new villain, of course, but of course, Edward Fryer's the guy from the first season. He was working with the man for Amanda Waller. Laura's working at the gym, you know, and she's like, "Put your legs back. Put more power in your fists." Building it to have a friendship together. Quentin tries to call Sarah but gets a voicemail that he's worried about her. Yeah. Roy gets a job for assistant manager. This returns to the league headquarters. She goes to see her father, Ra's al Ghul. And I know some people don't like this actor, but I like the actor who played Ra's al Ghul. I will say I do think Liam Neeson is better, but again, he was not really. It's not Ra's al Ghul, it's Ra's al Ghul. Batman Begins, I hate what they did with the character though. It wasn't Liam Neeson's fault. I would say in live action, probably my favorite will be Ra's al Ghul in live action, will be the one in Gotham. He was great in the role. But I kind of felt they just threw Ra's al Ghul in here as a villain. And so she informs the League of what happened to Sarah. She means that Sarah's dead and it appears to be Malcolm's work. And even though Ra's is then that Malcolm has his protection, he's like, and then Ra's says, he's now an enemy. He's now made, he's now going to go to war with us, and it ends with Ra's there. Yeah. And Ra's al Ghul, yeah, he's mainly a Batman villain, but he's also a villain in Green Arrow, I think, from the comics. And we do have the Lazarus Pit, which makes sense. You need that with a character. I know this show is meant to be realistic, but if you're gonna bring Ra's al Ghul in here, which I think we knew that. Come on, folks, we've had the League of Assassins, I think, since season one of the show. Well, that's where Malcolm got his training from, was League of Assassins. And season two, we saw Nissa. So with League of Assassins, he kind of figured at some point in the show, Ra's al Ghul was going to be a villain. Come on, you couldn't tell me if you've been watching the show, you can't tell it coming. And then next episode, which is my least favorite episode, my only one least favorite episode of the season, that is the secret origin of Felicity Smoke. Yeah, I got it written back here. Yeah, my least favorite. I did not like. This is the first episode I did not care for in the show. Yeah, I just didn't care about the whole thing with Felicity, and I'll get into why with her past and stuff. You have Oliver and Roy. They're sparring, they're training a little bit. Roy's a bit distracted, but he's doing pretty good in his training. Laura works out with Ted in the boxing ring. Thea and Malcolm did their chainsaw fighting. That was a cool opening, I'll admit, with all the training and fighting going on. You have Felicity in her apartment, is doing some work. Her mom shows up, and her mom is named, I think, Donna. Now, Felicity's mom, Donna, she's gorgeous. Not gonna lie, her mom is hot. Felicity's mom is gorgeous, but her character is so obnoxious and annoying, though, like a dumb blonde, pretty much. I'm in trouble with disbelief that this is her mom. I know it's a show, but I can't believe that this is her mother. Not really buying it. Ray comes to her door, talks about this project, supplying free energy to the city. Felicity then makes some coffee. Then her mother shows up. Her mother texted her, but she didn't hit the send button. Donna then sees Ray. Yeah, we also get a flashback of Felicity, who has this black hair, got the girl looks stupid, of her and her friends named Copper, who tries to break into the Department of Education or tries to do something illegal. He gets arrested for it. I didn't care about this whole past with Felicity. This Felicity, I'm like, this wasn't interesting at all. I don't care about her past. She's got the dark hair. Then all of a sudden, the sun in the city comes like under attack. Yeah. You also find out in this episode that Felicity, I mean not Felicity, Thea gets this nice apartment that she can afford thanks to being the daughter of Malcolm Merlin. She can. She got the money from Malcolm's estate to rent this loft. ZB's Oliver says won't forget hit by a car. Then you have this computer going off saying "Brother Eye." With this guy's voice telling you the plans for the city before the power returns. The power turns off in the city. Yeah, Felicity goes downstairs to find out who this hacker might be, trying to do all the damage to the city, taking the power out. What he's up, Brother is up to. Oliver and Dougal meet Donna, Felicity's mom. Felicity and Cooper. Oh, again, I didn't care about that. The FBI arrests Cooper, and she thought that he was dead, but apparently he's not. Brother Bear begins another talking about all the money from everyone in the city. Oliver and Bank, Oliver and Roy, they hit the bank, and they're as Arrow Arsenal try to get the people from attacking. They shoot arrows at them, not at them directly, but these arrows that have smoke grenades that come out, smoke comes out of them to get the crowd under control. Felicity tells the team that she was part of this hacking team along with Cooper, her ex-boyfriend. Thea heads to the club. Out in front of Thea is trying to get the basement. He gets the basement, but he stops her run time. They church out to one of the guys named Myron. They say, "It's not me. I'm gonna give you check. Felicity's smoke is cleared. She's innocent." Felicity gets into a dumb argument with her mom. They said something, "Oh, you're not like me. I mean, like your father, who ended up in jail because of his actions, is a criminal. May not have the smarts like you two do, but you know, I, you know, at least I have the booty and you got the blonde hair for me." They didn't care about that. Yeah, Felicity just yells, "I'm sorry, but disappointed, mom." When Felicity yells and screams in this season half the time, it's really annoying. It gets worse as the show goes on, sadly, in my opinion. Felicity goes home, tries to talk to her mom to apologize. Then Masked Man breaks their door, they kidnap them. And then you spoil alert, Cooper, her ex-boyfriend 5 years ago, they get arrested. He and Brother Eye. Oliver shows up as the hero to save them. And he's got these machine guns. Like at least four or five machine guns on him. Oliver moves really quick. Arrow moves real quick. Breaks him, which I thought was pretty cool though. Some good action there. Tries to point a gun at Felicity. Kill Felicity. And Felicity like punches him out. He gets to a new place. Oliver shows up with popcorn, which I like that little moment. Malcolm observes them, they and Oliver watching TV and eating popcorn, stalking them. And then the episode ends though with Roy dreaming that he was the one who killed Sarah, and he thinks that he might be the killer from the Maricopa. Oh, least favorite. Okay. Well, at least I got my least favorite one out of the way. All right. And then my next one. Again, I didn't care for the episode. The whole thing with Felicity and her past kind of just ruined it for me. I like something, with Roy having the dream, and some of the action scenes in there were pretty good, especially with Oliver fighting Cooper at the end, and those machine guns I thought were pretty cool. 152. Listen, okay. And again, I will not be talking about the Brave and the Bold episode. Sorry, this phone's being a pain. Okay, okay. Say season 3, okay. Alright, my next favorite episode is called Guilty. Okay, Guilty. Guilty. Yeah, that's the. This episode starts off with Oliver and Roy on a mission. Or, just going after some criminals. And Roy's not thinking straight. And Oliver's like, hey, wake up. You know, get your head in the game, Roy. Roy's sitting on the look on the roof. Oliver went inside and found this man tied up. They try to go after this criminal. But unfortunately, Oliver, you know, Arrow, Arrow finds this guy dead. And with that, says guilty. Apparently, have been murdered. They have a vigilante, but this vigilante who, well, this person who's a killer, I'm not saying a killer, telling people, and then he puts like a big word on the street saying guilty. They head back to the foundry to the air cave. Oliver, tells benches Roy says you're being too distracted for some reason. So Roy stays with Felicity. Then we get a flashback of Oliver in Hong Kong, annoyed with his handler. They're waiting information from China White. Yes, Kelly Who, which I'm like, he should have just met her as the arrow. But of course, she's China White, so she's Japanese, Chinese too, so why not? Oliver chases this guy. He has like a paper, but Oliver doesn't see where he like throws his paper at or whatever. And Oliver loses him, and the woman gets killed. Laura's boxing with Tegra, who's training her, helps her buy her tacos. Roy then asks Felicity to test him for marijuana in his blood. She believes that Felicity believes that it's a lie, but she still tests him. Oliver gets the lead to the building in the Glades. It's outside the gym, and all you finds another dead body with more guilty. And then Ted returns like, "What are you doing here?" He knows about that Ted Grant. He was a vigilante himself, known as Wildcat back in the day. Then Roy learns that he's cleaned the Maracuru, that he's just been having dreams about it. He tells in the dreams that he's been the one killing Sarah. It causes him, Felicity gets nervous, like, "Oh, did you really do this?" They're not really sure. Quentin gets called, and Laura talks to her dad about what happened. They try to get evidence on him because since Arrow saw him, believes that, Ted might be guilty. They even try to take him to the Charlotte City Police Department to question him. Oliver, we get back to Hong Kong again. He plays games with this kid named Akio. Then his mom, the mom who doesn't like him, the woman from the Wolverine movie, yeah, his wife Tatsu, talks about how his dad would be paid her channel by his caught. She doesn't like having Oliver there as a result. She just tells him that you need to do your own laundry. She does this thing with Oliver with the candle, with the Catholic memories of just sitting relaxed at the candle. Then he gets a flashback, and then him and Carl go and they go back to the area. They find what they're looking for before the guy got ran over by a car and killed. Oliver heads back to the barricade, fills in his team. He plans to track on Ted and head after them. He finds this vigilante shrine with Knuckles and Gather. Him and Ted fight for a bit. I do like the moment though where Oliver puts in a boxing glove, dabs in an arrow, and then shoots the arrow to him, punches him in the face. I thought that was pretty cool. That makes me think, well, Arrow. I mean, Oliver should get arrows that have boxing gloves on them. That'd be pretty cool. But Ted tells him that they never killed anyone. But Oliver mentions a drug dealer from years ago. Ted tells him that he stopped after that. He did kill him in an accident, but tells Oliver he was a vigilante too, and he had a partner too, just like he's got, the red guy Arsenal. Talking about Roy. So him and Ted start to work together. They meet up with Laurel. Roy's about to go help them out, but he can't. Felicity tells him, "Well, you might actually have really done this. I might have evidence that you did it." Dig heads to the site. Ted and Oliver head inside. A man shoots at Ted, and police arrive. Dig and Oliver head back to the foundry. Laura's not happy. She tries to talk to them. He says, "I killed Sarah," because Roy tells him about it, and this pisses her off. He's like, "Look, I'm sorry, Laura." Laura's like, "Don't touch me. Just get away from me." And then he walks away sad, upset. Oliver gets freaked out, and Laura's just upset. Oliver tells Laura that they would deal with Roy. She really her, but first they had to deal with Ted and his foe. In the past, Tatsu tells Oliver that he saw. Oh yeah, I already mentioned that. Ted gives him a man named Isaac, who was his partner, kind of like his sidekick. Isaac was the one who had killed the man 6 years before, so he cut him loose. And apparently, he's this vigilante putting guilty out. Isaac is this man was his partner from 6 years ago. Since he cut him loose, he's been out for revenge to get him. He aims a gun at Ted and threatens to kill him. Laura is told to drive by Stanley instead. Eventually, the arrow comes after them. Is able to knock them out. Arsenal Roy shows up and fights the guy, and Isaac is like telling Roy, "Oh, he's gonna cheat you. He's gonna do you wrong." Trust me, it'll happen. Trust me. He's like, "My guy's not like yours," and then Arsenal ends up the one kicking his ass. Arsenal, that's just a badass name, I think, for Rory. But he tells him that Oliver, man, was like, Oliver wouldn't do that to me. Oliver has to test Jim and tells him to stay away from Laurel. Roy heads to the foundry, and Oliver decides that they should call Roy Arsenal. He wants to turn himself in. Oliver then pulls the candle in his bag, and he does something that Tasha taught him those many 3 years ago, or 5 years ago, whatever. And he realized that he did not kill what was there, good news, but he killed the cop. When he was in the Miraku, when he had that episode where he just snapped, and the Miraku took, snapped his mind, he apparently stabbed a cop. And he's like, I still gotta leave. And he's like, I'm done being Arsenal. The police begin to take him up. Yeah, yeah. Laura still wants to be trained. Then at the end, though, Isaac, he gets killed by this other vigilante called, she's like, I'm Cupid, stupid. And then she shoots him with an arrow. And then the episode ends there. That was pretty good. I mean, I like that you dealt with another vigilante kind of character who had a partner, and then Roy dealing with the effects of Mirakuru, and that Oliver could possibly abandon him. I like the idea of that, or where their partnership could go. Yeah. It makes you question it, though. But that was guilty. And another favorite of mine is called Draw Back Your Bow. Draw back your bow. Okay, we're in 1 hour, 2 minutes in. I'm just looking at the time. And this episode starts off with 6 months ago, with of course dealing with the Maricopa, with the siege going on, led by Slade Wilson. His men are attacking the city. Oliver doesn't stop the car. This red-haired woman, gets almost choked in the throat, but Oliver saves her, and she she starts to fall in love with Oliver, becomes obsessed with him. Then Detective Lance and Arrow, they find out that Isaac is dead. It's an attempt to get his attention. I forget the woman named Cupid. Also Cupid. She's in love with Arrow. With the Arrow. She fancies that he saved her because he loved her, and so she has like this dark obsession with him. Oliver notices the red blade like tip on it. Yeah. Felicity looks for Ray Palmer, sees him working out. Barry Chester like Oliver did. He invites her to accompany him for a dinner and a business meeting. And Felicity does pretty well. They go to this meeting. She does help the crew, but she's able to talk about how good of a person Ray is, and she helps him succeed in the business deal. As he's planning the birth of Palmer Technologies. Oliver and Dale are investigating the killing of Isaac. They quickly it's not Sarah's kill at all. You say Oliver is getting tired of her. You say Oliver is jealous, and like I said, this is where we put the love triangle where Oliver is jealous. Definitely, he might be having feelings, or seems to like Ray Palmer, have feelings for him. This gets on Oliver's nerves, and of course he's jealous. He calls it Palmer Technologies now. They get this note. Oliver gets this note, and it's the address. It's romantically decorated. They go with the walls covered with sketches about the arrow. It's like, someone's got an obsession with you, man. Then he gets the call from Cupid. Tell him, hi, lover. We'll see each other pretty soon. Yeah. He's got like a huge shrine of him. They hear a ringtone. They answer the cell phone laying on the table. She tells him desire to be with him and fight with him. She then sends a picture of my boss with a bomb vest she's going to kill. Thea gets auditions for the DJ. Then this guy named Che shows up with a level of confidence. Thea finds it's Austin Butler, the same guy who played Elvis in 2022. Yeah, is in this episode of Arrow. A few episodes of Arrow. But her new DJ is terrible, so she hires Chase eventually. He does good at it. In the air cave, the Roy is distracted by the knowledge that he killed the cop, mentioning he feels like a fraud while working as a vigilante. Oliver tries to tell him it's okay. He didn't mean to. You were under the face of Mary Cooper, but you find out the woman's name is Carrie Cutter. She's a former SWAT police member as well. She managed to identify a bag of fertilizer in the background, and the team finds out Carrie practices gardening at the florist. Oliver obviously has problems with Felicity working with Palmer, but anyway, you find out that Carrie was a cop, but she would stalk some people as well, and that was got her fired. She ended up in the crazy place. You know, Arsenal now we're gonna try to stop Carrie Cupid, but Cupid, is able to knock out Arsenal, knocks out Rory, overpowers him. She steals his earpiece. Oliver does go to Carrie's doctor, find out what's wrong with her in the head. That she's upset, she wants love, she has that need for attention. She's got this guy on a bomb vest, and it's like, "Oh, we're gonna do it, honey. We'll be together soon." As Oliver refuses, she kicks the chair away. Harriet flees the scene. Oliver lets her escape. He saves them all, but he's like, "Well, it's about time you showed up," and he knocks them out. So that was funny. Then back there, okay, that Rogue is actually, he's trying to hit my computer. Sorry, that was an accident. But Roy's just violently hitting the piece of cardboard wood that they used to train to fight. He's like, "Roy, calm down." He's like, "I almost got you killed." Eddie Carey fooled him. As I Carey became obsessed with a coworker. The other thing goes to Felicity informs her that Oliver is troubled by Felicity and Ray's being together, but Felicity's like, "Well, if Oliver's a problem, he says something about, but he told me he didn't love me and they want to be together." So again, it's this whole love triangle thing, which I didn't care about any of this. What about Felicity being Ray Palmer? I wouldn't have minded that. I just don't think they needed to have her and Oliver relationship. But of course, since Ray were going to be in the DC Legends tomorrow, they're not going to be together eventually. But the whole love triangle thing, I didn't care about that either. Like I said, Oliver talks to the psychiatrist to learn about Carrie. She pushes everyone when she's fixated on one person. Felicity comes to Ray wearing the dress that he bought her. Like I said, they go over at dinner. You know, yeah, you know. Carrie got this help from this cop she knew who probably likes her. He's like, this is more pleasure. He helps locate. Yeah. But at this nightclub, Carrie's like, okay, and gives him a kiss, and then she stabs him. Yeah. She's like, I'm sorry, I'm spoken for. Kevin Lynch basically is killing the hacker, informs the error about it. Carrie enters Burnett during his grand reopening and walks straight past Roy. She talks to Thea. You know, she's able to get there to meet her where they first met, and then Oliver like, I saved her from the night of the siege. She mentions that they were soon after and night after. But he says she wants to be able to call him a hero. He tries to follow the advice of psychiatrist and reaches her convince her by telling her the truth that he cannot be with anyone. So she's lying, and she only tries to shoot at him. They fight. They almost they fight for a little bit, end up on the train tracks. She wants to make out with him. She's crazy, but Oliver's able to grab her, knocks her out. Ray visits Felicity in her office and thanks her for helping him with the deal. And then they two shake hands and go to bed together. Yeah. Oh, I forgot to mention. Well, at some point, Oliver was told by Dewey, you should tell Felicity how you really feel. Tries to go to her, but again, after their deal, when they, when they start kissing, Oliver walks in, is like, just walks away, you know, throws some stuff on the table. Yeah. Ray's seen checking out his down for an armor suit, which he's making. Fuck, sorry. You have this Asian man, he's seen walking through an alley. He tells the man falling in the back. The perpetrator then kills him with a boomerang, like weapon. Oh, Captain Boomerang. Yeah. That's when you lead to that episode, The Brave and the Bold, which I would not be talking about. No crossovers with The Flash. Sorry. Yeah, Brave and the Bold. I will not be talking about that episode. It'll be reviewed one day down in the future. So draw back your bow. That was a good episode. So the next episode is not The Brave and the Bold. Remember, no crossovers. That is called The Climb. Yeah. Mid-season, probably. This episode was filmed in, came out in December. So, yeah. Or mid-season finale, if you want to call it. And we're in 1 hour and 12 minutes. Okay. We flash forward to Oliver climbing on the mountain of Nandapona. I can't say it, but it's where fucking Rachel Wu lives or whatever. But anyway, we 8 hours earlier, Darrow delivers a Christmas present to Quentin Lance, and Quentin's like, "You do such a good job. You're the closest partner I have." Quentin leaves with a criminal. You know, he sees this man in the black suit. He thinks that it's George Archer. He thinks it's Malcolm Merlin. Tries to go after him. Then this band of just people, they descend from the rooftop and attack the Arrow, capturing him. Oliver wakes up in this warehouse and sees Nessa. Nessa informs him that father's patience has run out, that he has to deliver Sarah Lynn's killing in 48 hours, or the League of Assassins under the direction of Sir Bob, who's revealed to be Masu. They're going to kill 50 innocent people of Starling City. They're going to kill 50 innocent people of Starling City, so they capture Oliver, the Arrow. Tell him, we're going to kill like 50 people in the city. We're going to start killing people. If you don't bring, Sarah Lance's killer to justice, or don't bring him to face our justice. God, hurt my foot. Sorry. Laura then visits Sarah's grave to wish her a Merry Christmas. Then, her mother shows up, Diana Lance from Central City. Her and her mother talking. Diana, being a mother, is able to she's able to tell that her daughter's dead, that Sarah died. I don't think it's in this episode, though. I'm sorry. Thea gets confused while Laura was there, but then, she tells about Sarah dying, and then Thea, like, hugs her. I'm sorry. Nothing to do with the mother. Sorry. Felicity's at Palmer Technologies. She regrets kissing him, you know, thinks that Ray might regret it, so they, don't really talk much after that. She gets a call from a 911 from Oliver. 911. Oliver informs the team of League's ultimatum. Caitlin Snow is trying to run some. Caitlin from Daniel Panabaker from Flash Show. She's trying to run some DNA tests to find out who the real killer is, but it takes some time. Then we get the Hong Kong flashback where Oliver arrives from torture the and Lian Yu, Lee on wherever he's at. Oliver tells Mister that Hosu they tell about this Omega bioweapon that they need to get their hands on. Felicity gets on the phone with Caitlin, informs the team. Caitlin was able. to get the sample of the arrows and would run it through CCP's database. It searches as Oliver killed her. Oliver continues to climb, nearly slipping to his death. Oliver believes that Malcolm is framing him and trying to put him against the league. So Felita works to track him down. Then we get another flashback with Meso and Oliver breaking into steal this virus. Oliver finds this empty file. Meso runs to the security footage. I'm just spitballing there. Oh, Diana Lynch does arrive in Quentin's office. How's Quentin, see how he's doing. And again, later in the episode, she does cry because she's able to tell Mo's intuition, I would say, that hers did, but won't deal with him because of his heart problem. Felicity goes through Ari's reports and tracks the plane. Sarah, showing the night before Sarah was murdered, the Arrow and Arsenal threatened the pilot, questioning him about where he ferried to Starling. The pilot used some security footage. Oliver hangs from cliffside on the mountain. Oliver realizes that Thea was there the whole time, with each other, that they were at Starling City early. Thea suggests, David suggests that she could be a suspect because they're brother and your siblings. So you're like, no. So Oliver dismisses the idea. Roy and Felicity both agree that they could have done it, but Oliver doesn't want to believe, of course, rebuffs them. Ray's trying to, find Felicity. He's at to the nightclub. Ray kind of snapped on her a little bit. You know, he tells her of his wife Anna and how she was killed by Slade Wilson's army, and he found out the reason that's why he puts on a suit. He's trying to get justice. His way of doing it is fighting crime, and that's why he's building the suit. And you do feel bad for Ray. You know, at first you think you think of him as a smart ass douchebag kind of guy, but then you realize that he was married. That his wife was murdered, and the reasons why he puts on that suit. Oliver does go talk to the owner of the raft in her lot where she lives at, and talk to her about Malcolm, but she does deny being flying with her to him. Then you have another flashback in Hong Kong. Mason Oliver, they torture a man to get information on the whereabouts of the Omega virus. Diana Laura at a party. Oh, I already mentioned that. And Native Parbat, where Raish lives at. Ra's al Ghul spares some of them. Raish, which I thought they actually did good. Raish, you see him with the sword just fight some men, and then some men just looking at Raish going like this, and then he stabs and kills the man. And then Nessa comes to her father Raish, tells him that Oliver has failed to deliver the killer, so he's like, throw a wrath on it, go ahead and show no mercy, start killing some people. Oliver tells him that Thea didn't do this. Felicity and Diggle plead him that it's not been a blind spot for Thea. Arrow should pay her a visit. Arrow does try to pay her a visit. He breaks through the window. Oliver asks just as the Arrow as his old ego, but Thea pretty much almost kicks his ass right out the door. Huh. And it surprises Oliver. He didn't expect that. Oliver, in the flash forward, hears the summit of the mountain. He's getting close to climbing it. Malcolm visits the nightclub and tells Oliver that the Inferno they tapped by the Arrow. So Oliver grabs and chokes him, saying that he would gladly kill them. Oliver phone buzzes him and sees a video of Thea killing Sarah. Apparently, Malcolm says that if he kills them, the league will get the head of the footage. He's playing that he used Vertigo to make Theo Spider-Man. So he had Thea under some mind control. And in this video, she's the one that shot the arrows and killed her. But if she was in her right mind, as he was mind controlling her. Miles says that his plan was that he planned it though. He says that his plan was given to Oliver to take out Ra's so that Malcolm will be free of his blood, dead to the League. So at the later, Oliver ponders why Thea would have done it. Then Malcolm has showed her the evidence. Oliver decides to fight Ra's. And they said, "What? Are you crazy? This Ra's, he's a madman. He's been around for many years." Well, Ra's is a man that has been around for centuries. Thanks to Lazarus Pit. For maybe 60 years. And has been in fights for a long time. Oliver has his flashback to get this information about the biotech worker with Meizu. They're trying to get this. I didn't care what was going on about this Omega weapon, which would play to the end of the season. You know, Tatsu thinks that her husband's missing. And it's cool she uses a sword. It reminds me when she uses the sword in the Wolverine. She doesn't here too, which was cool. Then they go home and you find out Maisie was alive. Oliver walks into the League's warehouse hideout and meets Nessa, who brings him to Brace. Below they're going to be killing civilians. So Oliver confesses to killing Sarah and challenges. And Raish is like, I haven't been challenged for like 67 years, but I accept your challenge. Oliver makes his way to the top of the mountain. Sarah B, it's basically a nod to the comics. Oliver arrives at the loft and Thea what happened to the window. Thea lies and the bird is smashed up. Felicity visits Ray, the Palmer Tech, and demands to tell her what his true motive is for Queen Consolidated. He tells her about his theories of creating a atom suit, exosuit, that she can help him build it. Oliver says goodbye to Roy and Diggle, along with Felicity. She's like, you need to kill Raish. And then she won't kill Oliver. Raish will use against you and he's going to kill you instead. Oliver arrives to the duel site and they take their shirts off. It's a nod to the comics. I think it was from the comics. Also, there was an episode of Batman the Animated Series, I think it was season 3, volume 3, sorry. The Demons the Demon's Quest, part 2, I think it was. Where at the end, Batman and Raish, take their shirts off. Batman has his shirt off, but his mask on still. And they're fighting. Oliver doesn't have to wear his mask because they're in NATO part, they're in another country, so he's like, come on, attack me. So he tries to attack him with a sword. And Raish is not even using sword. He's like using two swords against Raish. Raish is like he can't touch Raish. And Raish is pretty good. Raish gives, Oliver an ass whooping. He's been fighting for many years. Oliver covers the attacks Raish again, but Raish defends off his blows. He gets a couple more jabs to Oliver's side and to Oliver's neck. Oliver surprise attacks him and disarms Raish with the sword. Presently on a fatal blow, but Raish blocks Oliver's sword with his own hand. He stuns Oliver with a throat punch. You know, just punches Oliver in the throat. And and then during the fight, Raish like stabs Oliver with the sword like right here, and so and Oliver supposedly falls dead. He just falls on the side of the mountain, like 50 feet below, maybe down the mountain. And then just after stabbing him, Raish kicks him, and then Raish just puts the sword down, and it's like, okay, that's it. As Raish would think, he killed him. But the episode ends there. That was a pretty good fight, though. It proves that how good of a fighter Raish is. That he's been around for many years and centuries. My favorite actor to play the character in live action is Gotham, but my favorite actor to play Ra's al Ghul is the late David Warner from Batman the Animated Series. That's always been my favorite version. of the character. Anyway, so that was The Climb. The next favorite episode is called Left Behind. Okay. 125 minutes in. Okay. Oh, sorry. Oliver gets missing in action, and they haven't heard from him for maybe a week or so. Yeah. Dig is taken around town with Arsenal, with Roy, as they're fighting crime. You get this whole thing with in the flashback with Hong Kong, which I didn't care about, with the Mandalore talking to Corrigan and Oliver about the Omega weapon, which she wants to get her hands on, or the Omega drug, whatever. Felicity heads back to Palmer Technologies and finds Rey's testing a successful gauntlet with Planetaris, which that was funny. But kind of like Iron Man when Tony puts on the armor hand, he's doing the same thing but can't get it to work. Laura, Quentin, and the criminal from the night before they head to court. Chaz listens to Laura about the criminal's lawyer wants the arrow, but if the arrow's not there, he can't say anything. Dig mentions to Roy that Lila exhausted her resources. Roy heads out to get information while Felicity and Dig stay behind. She doesn't want to believe Oliver is dead. Oliver is laying in the snow with the jar blood on him. Someone approaches his body. Like I said, he just fell on the side of. He's like on the side. Oliver, but he's not dead. A man grabs him in the mountain in Star City. Though Antoine is getting beaten up by by a man named Brick for not lying low, and he's like, "Come on," he's played by Vinny Jones, the actor, by the way. He's like, "Come on, kill me." Tries to, I'm not trying to say he's Arnold Schwarzenegger, but tries to kill him. And Vinny like, she's like, "Go at it, boys." And Brick is this big villain who part of the show wants to take over Star City. Thea fights with Malcolm still, you know, tells him about her worries. And in this flashback, Alpha, instead of looking for Tatsu, Oliver, he has issues with breaking in the building. They plan to break into the Alpha instead of looking for Tatsu. Something like that, looking for his wife, whatever. The whole thing with Japan, him being in Hong Kong, I just didn't care about. Uh, be more interesting if they added the stuff in the island flashbacks. Arsenal dig, they find out these phones, search for a piece of paper, and they find a dead body. Felicity, Dig, and Roy head to the foundry. The door open. They find Malcolm inside the area. He has such a revolver, and Felicity freaks out. Laura doesn't believe that, where Oliver's at. Malcolm finds the sword where Oliver fell, assuming that Oliver's dead. In the past, Oliver continued to try breaking into the building, only successful. Makes his way inside, comes across a room, but doesn't realize that the Triad are there waiting for him. Malcolm brings back the bloody sword, and it's with Oliver's DNA, so they assume that Oliver is dead. They can now confirm that. In the cold weather, Oliver is being dragged away by a masked man. In the foundry, everyone is quiet at the way of the blood analysis, and they even more so when the DNA matches Oliver's blood. Oliver was supposed to shoot this guy to take a chance, kill the guy, but he didn't. He just let him go. Yeah. Roy's drinking and doing to be upset about Oliver. Thea approaches him, and he talks to her about her work for Oliver. Thea asks Roy if they are could look for him. Roy agrees to help. Roy wonders if they should tell Thea about everything. Thea the second goes off on Roy like, well, we can't tell her that. It upset her. Yeah. Oliver Ray comes in, and Felicity's upset now because Oliver's dead. Well, consumed dead, presumed. And she snaps. She's like, "It won't work. You're done playing. You're crazy. You're gonna get killed." You know, you know, your wife Anna wouldn't want this. Like, okay, look, I'm sorry that you're upset over what you're upset, Felicity, but don't use my dead wife, my dead wife as an excuse. Anna, don't bring her into this. You have no right. Don't go there. You know. Then she apologizes for it. You don't get to do that. But then she apologizes for it. Brig, they try to go after Brig. Who gives Jake his gun, but there's no bullets inside of it, so they have to fight each other. And Arsenal does some good action scenes in here. I don't know if it's in this episode, but Roy goes like inside like a hole, whatever. I don't know. He did something like he runs from guns or whatever, being shot. Put some pretty good fights up. Roy and Jake get pinned down to the Arden. It's still a gunfight. Felicity gets upset and lets the bad guy go instead of letting them die. They get upset when Felicity for doing so, but Felicity's too upset about Oliver. She's done with Oliver being around, so she then turns off the power as she leaves. She's like, I'm done. It is Masu who's the man that brought Oliver there. Burned to his former wife, Tasu, just for healing up. Felicity goes to Ray to apologize for what she said. She feels one of the details of losing both Sarah and Oliver. She tells she's over losing friends, tells him that she can't stop him from getting suicide, but she wants to help him out. Laura tells Dig that the judge let all the guys go due to the evidence being stolen. Dig is sad about Oliver and how he couldn't protect him. Laura then had an idea which Rose is left in the laundry foundry. Sorry. Brick meets with the men he got free. He tells them they're part of his crew. They've taken over the blades. The two men walk together, then they hear a noise. It's Laura as the Black Canary. And in the past, Waller is happy that Oliver got the drug, but so that he meant the man got away. In the cabinet, though, Tatsu is alive and helps Oliver. He wakes up and learns that Mesu did it so he can bring him back to so he can come back to life. But good episode, you know. I like how much they missed Oliver and what they had to deal with and stuff. Yeah. The look behind. Okay. We are 1 hour 33 minutes in. Good. Okay. All right. Next favorite episode is called. Let's see. Is it okay? So we got a couple episodes, guys. It is Midnight City, and it is 7:40. Okay, I'm just looking at the time. Again, I will not be uploading this video tonight or part two. Um, I'm just letting you know. It opens up within a dream. Oliver and Felicity talk about how he felt things instead of going off. Where Felicity talking, I was like, Oliver, you shouldn't go off. I was like, okay, Felicity, you're right. And then all of a sudden, she sees Oliver, blood coming out of his mouth and him being stabbed, and she have a nightmare, or it's Oliver dreaming about it. Tatsu is surprised to see him awake and gives him medicine to heal him. Oliver's just in pain from getting stabbed by a racist sword. Yeah. And Starling, the little girl, is running around when a man chases her. Laura, as the canary, shows up and helps the woman get away. I mean, Laura, she tried to fight a couple times. She doesn't have fully training. She does get stabbed by a knife a couple times. It's like in her arm. The man gets Laura in the arm before Arsenal shows up. He's like, "What are you doing? You shouldn't be out here." You know, Roy's stitching up Laura. Roy and Laura talk about. He shows up to Yellow. He's like, she leaves upstairs. Like, I'm gonna do it anyway. You can't stop me. Yeah. He's like, you're gonna get killed, Laura. You don't know what you're doing. You're not your sister. You know. Felicity's starting off at space work when Ray walks her up. Tries talking her into helping him, but she refuses. Still upset about Oliver and Sarah. Thea shows up to the verdict to find out that Chase is there moving his gear. They flirt, then they share a kiss. Laura arrives late to meeting with her father and others. Laura learns that her father thinks Sarah is in town due to someone seeing the Black Canary. Not always Laura in the suit. Suddenly, the nearby gas blast window breaks. Brick shows up with tear gas. He threatens to kill the rest of the left behind. However, when he runs out of bullets, Ray tries to help, as does Laura. In the mountains, though, Oliver sips some of his drink when Masu gives him the hell up. Tetsu's upset with Masu as he blames himself for what happened in Hong Kong those many years ago. Oliver and Masu, they follow the track to Tatsu and end up at a club. They go China White, played by Kelly Hu, once again, the beautiful Kelly Hu, finds out that it's not real, and they fight with her and her men. Laura approaches the man she caught up with her heel. Laura threatens to come up with crimes to get him in prison so she can find out about Brick. Malcolm enters his place and learns that Roy has shown up. Felicity and Ray are at the office. They're going to patch him up. Roy and Laura are shooting up when Dig shows up. He's pissed. Tells Roy to stay close to her as they have to. Roy shoots at one of the cores and Laura jumps in the same one. She gets attacked by Brick though. Ray, Palmer, and the mayor Quentin watch a newscast with a video from earlier. Brick then calls the mayor and wants to meet the mayor to parlay. And he tells them that he's going to take over the city, that they better stay out of his works. People are going to get hurt. Even though the mayor says, I don't negotiate with terrorists. You know, Malcolm goes to Thea says, we got to get out of here. We're in danger from Ra's al Ghul. That the Undertaker marks him for death because he did it the wrong. It would have given what the league wanted. So he kind of vote because Ra's wants to kill him for it. Laura talks to, she sees the news. Laura talks about not putting on her sister mask. Leslie tells her that it's about the people who do it. Palmer, the mayor, yeah. They meet Brick, break down opposite trade, give the thieves for the two other men. He then leaves. Felicity mentions knowing where to find the canary. Oliver tries to talk to him. Macy after leaving. Tatsu kisses. She loves him, but as for the cabin, and, you know, Masu says that I'm dead. I'm now this new person. That he's part of the League of Assassins now. Rachel Guzman men show up. They had a Tashu, stabs one of them. They fight them all to protect Oliver. Quentin gets a call from Sarah, but it's Laura disguising her voice, Sarah. Trying to comfort him and say that everything's okay. Oliver gets dressed as he's in the mountains, worries about Macy for He then cuts himself and tells him that it was due to Oliver escaping. Tatsu looks at her husband. I said that he won't return strongly with her, but he actually remembers when they return home. Mesa tells Alva that and how Waller had known Mesa would steal the weapon to get his family back. Quentin is approached by Laurel, and not Sarah, of how the mayor escapes. Laurel tells him that she'll explain everything another night, while pretending to be Sarah, of course. Malcolm looks outside when Thea approaches. She tells him that she isn't leaving, as one of their insane night. Felicity returns the helicopter back to him. Yeah. Well, they fight Brick and. Oh, wait a minute. That episode I think has come yet. But Thea's at Vernon, but Chase shows up. And then Chase calls Mazu, tells him that Merle isn't leaving town, revealing that he's part of the League. Yeah. Good episode. Yeah. Seeing how Laura becomes a Black Canary and stuff. Alright. Well, that was the Midnight City episode. Alright. Then another favorite of mine is called Uprising. Yeah, Uprising. It opens up with Oliver trying to leave the cabin and he wants to go back home. He tells him that he needs to heal. He tells her that he should come with him, but she says she has no desire to return to the world. Oliver leaves, despite being but she does follow him and helps him to get back home. A week passes since the government have removed the police from the glades, which is what, Brick wanted. Arsenal approaches a man who's trying to get taxes from a bar. Laura then joins to help him. They fight him off. They beat him up. Then you see Sydney again. Sin spots them and she calls out Sarah's name, but Laura doesn't respond. She's like, "Well, Sarah, Sarah." But eventually, Sid is able to realize that that is not Sarah, of course. Thea and Malcolm are sparring with swords. Thea gets up ahead, but Malcolm tells her that she needs to adapt to the danger that she will be facing. That he also was a killer. He was frightened with his first kill. We found out, I do like this was a place 21 years ago with Malcolm's past, returning home from work. You see a young Tommy who has a nightmare. He's like, "It's okay, Tommy. Everything's okay." And then he gets a knock on the door from the police, telling him, the news about Rebecca dying. Because he just knows it because the police come to the door and they just take their hats off. And he just knows it's going to be bad news. He knows. Quentin meets with Roy, tells him that he knows it's him after giving him a file about Brick. Felicity looks into Brick's MO. They come across the gun from Rebecca and Merlin. Reveal that Malcolm had planted a camera on Felicity's computer and saw this. Oliver's in the woods having issues with Tesha meets up, having changed her mind. Oliver tells Tess about Rachel Gould going after him and his sister if he can learn that Oliver was alive, so he asks for advice. She tells him the advice. Malcolm is sharpening his sword. Malcolm tells her that he killed the wrong man, and that it was actually Brick that killed his wife Rebecca. He's like, well, you shouldn't do this. You shouldn't kill again, Malcolm. It's not right. And he's like, well, I'm a killer. That's who I am. I'm a killer. In the past, while Malcolm sits at the funeral alone, you see a young Oliver. Oliver maybe what 8 years old, and Tommy 8 years old as well. Just the main kid talking about his dad and what's going to happen now. He thinks it's a photograph of the man from behind from Malcolm. In the foundry, Felicity, Laura, and Rory dig talking about what they learned. Felicity freaks out about the man who committed the freaks about the man communicating about this tower. Brick is annoyed with the man who hadn't killed Arsenal that night before. As Brick goes to kill his second man, the power also stops. Laura and Arsenal begin to take down Brick's men one by one. Brick heads to the gun cabinet and grabs flares. He then begins to shooting at them. Felicity and Dig are worried when they lose contact with Laura and Rory. Malcolm shows up and shoots at Brick. Afterwards, Malcolm is brought to the foundry and they realize that they let him break. Well, in the past, also you see Malcolm. He goes after the man. He's freaked out in the first kill. He stabs this guy that he thinks killed his wife in the past. 21 years ago. Then that's when he goes to find out about League of Assassins. And he leaves Tommy for a good while. His young son Tommy. That's what puts the rift in their father-son relationship. Uh, but they go to fight Brick Oliver. Thankfully, the Hellcat was able to get into a truck and back to Charlotte City. Malcolm shows up when they're, him and Sid and the Glaze, they're fighting off a Brick. Malcolm confronts Vinnie Jones and says, "You killed my wife," takes off his mask, they fight, and he has the guys that comes supposed to kill him. And Oliver shows up as Arrow says, "Don't kill him, don't do it. It's not you. Just don't bring your wife back." He's like, "Just bring my wife back." But he doesn't do it. Instead, just knocks out Brick, and Brick goes to prison for good. Yeah. Yeah, but Tim says Malcolm do it, Malcolm doesn't. Laura thinks that they should team up with Malcolm for the sole purpose of going after Brick. Oh, you also have Ted Grant in the fight as Wildcat costume. Yeah. And they realize that Oliver's back. After they win the fight, though, Oliver says, I'm back for good to fight for this city. You know, and people are happy that, you're like, yeah, he's back. Sydney Zen goes to Quentin Lance and tells him, that wasn't Sarah. I know her. It wasn't Sarah. You know, Malcolm says that before Rebecca died, a good father. Oh, he says that he wants redemption with Thea and expects a different outcome with Theo. Says that he was, not a good father to Tommy, but with her, he can have some redemption. Malcolm walks into Ned apart, sees the young Nessa. She names him the Magician and begins to be ready for his training. Oliver heads to the foundry. Felicity hugs him. Says they're happy to see him. He apologizes to her in public approach, but she steps back. She tells him that she doesn't want to be the woman he loves and he walks away. And he's like, "I don't love you," again, and walks away. And the episode ends there. But that person that was good. Seeing Malcolm's past and stuff, the man he became. Yeah, and the pain he went through. Now, my name's a weird episode. Sorry. I'm so sorry, guys. Excuse the coughing. I'm not trying to cough on the camera here, on the webcam or thing. And this favorite episode is called, let's see, it's called Canaries. Right. Canaries. And since Oliver's back, he's back in action as the Arrow. Him and Arsenal, they're chasing after some escaped men. One of them stay by down Black Canary. The Oliver's not grateful. He's like, "So get out of here. You don't need to be doing this." And she's like, "You won't tell me what to do." And they have the argument. He warns her that she's over her head trying to live up to Sarah's title. He chose to eventually give up being Black Canary for her own safety. Black Canary simply just to avoid any direct contact with him. Oliver is still fuming from the encounter, and she demands to never do that while he allowed her to go out at all. Diggle defends Laura by pointing out she's not helpless, that she was helpful during his absence. Felicity announces that arrival of Oliver's new best friend, Malcolm. Malcolm wants to begin training Oliver to fight Ra's, but wants him to tell Thea the truth about his vigilante work. If only she can't be kept in the dark as they fight back. Oliver is reluctant to do so, as they ignore him. Diggle also warns Oliver that he's on a relationship with his sister, hidden if she discovers the truth about him. Meanwhile, Quentin tells Laura about what Stan told him. Laura pretends to be surprised. Quentin believes Laura's claim to not know. Laura goes to the courthouse to oversee the transportation of Warner titled Vertigo. One of the girls suddenly starts to hallucinate. Seeing the reporter as monsters, he starts to start shooting at people. Laura just punches him in the face, knocks him out. The team then watches the news and they try to locate where Warner's gone. The new Laura Crumble tries to shoot up his Black Canary, but Oliver takes her outside, tries to do her actions. Laura sees the Rose Canary as an escape from harsh reality. However, he hits a nerve and is totally rebuffed by her. He says Oliver falls into the same category as her. Oliver goes ahead and reveals his error identity to Thea. Oliver, says, Speedy talked to you, and he tells her, what happened on the island those 5 years, that he's the arrow. And you would think she'd be mad and yell at him. He's like, did mom know? He's like, yeah, mom knew. And instead of getting mad, she's like, well, thank you for telling me this. And she gives Oliver a hug. They talk more about it. She's in daze, but she's overjoyed for her brother being a hero, you know. And she felt bad that all that grief she gave him, but realizing that he was doing good all the whole time. Oliver confirms with Myra that, Myra knew of his secret. Thea jokes that many of Oliver's excuses to go out there were not even good, which they were not. She's got a point there. He says that he'll always help Malcolm, but they'll probably need his help to train to fight Ra's. Malcolm shows up, and she says, I can't believe you did that. I'll train with you, but as father and daughter, our relationship is done. It's like, and Malcolm's like, okay. Laura goes after Satel alone. She tries to go after the Vertigo Man alone, Warner alone, but he doses her with his drug. She sees her sister. She's like, hey sis, and starts beating her. Like, you think you can't be me? You can't be nothing like me. And nearly gives her a bit of beating where she gets cut and bleeding and has to go to the arrow cave to get patched up. She accuses her of stealing it and fooling it of being a hero. That she's fooling herself trying to live up to her sister's status as a hero. They two fight with Sarah, really Sensao, who, when he's got you down, if you're seeing somebody you fear, that's when he's able to use that fear against you to beat the crap out of you. Laura is nearly killed and only survives thanks to the intervention of Team Arrow. They chase after Sergio, but he gets away. By the time they get to the Arrow Cave, though, the drug effects are still in swing. Laura is violently causing and bleeding, saying, Sarah, I'm sorry. Sarah, I'm sorry. She pleads for forgiveness. Laura, as I mentioned, Theo comes and sees Laura in a costume. Yes, she is involved, but isn't able to get any answers from. Laura tries to usher her out, and Royce does it. Roy's like, don't talk to her like that. You shouldn't be talking to her like that. And Laura's like, don't tell me what to tell my sister. And they argue there a little bit. Theo leaves though. Is like, okay, I'll go. Diego attempts to calm things down. Felicity steps in and points out that thought he was dead. They had to do things without him, even when it was included without him. Though Oliver tried to argue this back, Felicity cuts him and says that this many things had to go back to Laura, so he will have to get used to the team's independence outside of him. And she also says that he doesn't get to question people's choices. I'll admit that. I'll kind of agree with Felicity on that. He doesn't. But they can somewhat manage without him sometimes, and yeah. When no one comes to his defense, he reads us to go up to Vernon Meese about Felicity's words, but also tells them to let him know about Laura's state. Yeah. I mean, yeah, he was dead, and they had to do things on their own for a bit without him. So him to snap on some of them is really unnecessary. I'll admit Oliver was kind of being a jerk there. Yeah. Diggle joins him though for Stardom explains the team was very close to hanging up the vigilante business when he was dead. But they did it for not just for Oliver himself, they did it for the city. Laura tells Felicity that she saw her hallucination begins to feel uncertainty. about being Black Canary, thinking she can't live to his sister. Felicity says that this is the problem. Laura's trying to be like Sarah. Felicity believes Sarah wore a mask to be here, but also to hide her inner darkness. Laura has a light side she can use to her advantage, so that she's saying, "You're different from your sister. You be Sarah. I mean, you be Laura. You be you." Well, she wears the mask to cover darkness. You're the light side of her, and you can use it in a different way to be your own Black Canary. You know, in which she does. So Laura suits up. They get to his location. You know, this time Oliver says, "Laura, be ready. You know, you can do this." You know, Thea sleeps with Chase though. They sleep together, drink wine. However, though, Thea notices a particular amount of the red wine and realizes he's trying to drug her. So she reacts progressively, gets angry toward the guy. But Chase proves to be a better fighter and holds her fed with a knife. Roy also comes to her defense. Malcolm shoots an arrow in Chase's shoulder, realizing his way through death. Chase drinks a poison and kills himself. The arrow and Black Canary finds still holding Santa's hostage. He escapes. Black Canary goes after him once again. He's there vertical. He is really good at vertical. She's like, "ISIS," and it says she overcomes that fear. She also imagines seeing her father confirming another fear that she's wrong for not telling Quentin was young daughter dying. Quentin scolds Laura for the decision to remain silent. Laura thinks she can be her. Laura states that she's no longer trying to proceed to beat Starlight into submission. She imagines seeing civilian Flo Sarah smiling at her. In reality, it's being Oliver. Thea's close encounter, Oliver goes to see her in Roy. Thea is greatly shaken by the event. Considers whether she can be the League of Assassins after all. She can also face them. Bible says it's time for them to train. Laura decides to tell her father the truth about Sarah, but I do. Well, of course, it's so she gets this high pitched scream, and of course she's like, this is very high scream. Take out criminals, you know. And when she tells Quentin about Sarah dying, oh no, my daughter, she just loses it. He gets ready to go back to the bottle. Oliver and Thea leave Charlotte City to go to Leanium. You have the flashbacks of Mason telling Oliver to come contact his family in the media so that Oliver can't get to him. The Tasman and their son will go on the run. Oliver tries though, but Argus and tortures the family's whereabouts. Waller forces Oliver to reveal the location by threatening Thea, which works. I didn't care about that. Again, I don't care about the Japan stuff. What was going on with the family? It just wasn't interesting. But the episode does end with Oliver and Thea going to Galliano. And yeah. And then we get into the next episode. So that was Canaries. Really good episode. And that's an episode I believe called Come On. Sorry. That is can I even talk? The Return. Yeah. In this episode they bring Slade Wilson back, Deathstroke. But anyway, yeah, okay. The episode called is called The Return. Sorry, The Return. The Return. It opens up with only and you with Oliver and Thea. They're sparring. He's teaching her how to do the fights and stuff. Hold on, folks. Sorry. Just gotta move my desk real quick. Probably about in 2 hours already, right? Yeah, we are. Sorry, I'm playing my phone up. All right, episode with Lee and you, Oliver and Thea. They said they're training. Thea is eating something unknown. He's taking care of what he ate and how he survived on the island. And Thea's surprised that he survived there for that many years. For 5 years. Discussing about being there. Now, I know I've been saying I hate the past of Japan stuff, but one thing I did find interesting about this episode, Oliver does go back to Starling City. He wonders why, it's wonders why Starling City, and learns that it's due to the possible buyer of the drug. He can't reveal to being alive, as Oliver is easily spotted. Macy plants a tracker on the car. Oliver walks around wearing a hat. Laura finds her father drinking at the Dill bar. You know, he's got big, weird looking hair. And this has what been third year now since Sarah's died, and he's been drinking. You know, they go to Queens Consolidated. He sees Thea, and Thea, like she told Oliver before in the first season, she goes to her brothers. And said, her father and brothers go to talk to them. She also talks to a guy who's a drug dealer as well, giving her drugs. Then we get back to the present. Thea sees Oliver mutter Sarah in his sleep, so she wakes him up. Oliver reveals that Sarah went back to the League after Slade, and Thea asks if the League will kill Sarah. Oliver says he's going to walk clear his head. So he goes up to the graded area where Argus prison at there is locked, what they locked, where he locked up Slade at. Oliver enters and finds out Slade has escaped, and he's killed the guard. He rushes out and remembers Slade's promise to kill him and go after his family. He heads back to the camp and tells Thea about this, that they need to leave the island. Malcolm calls him, tells him so many words that Slade could go to, that he actually, Malcolm let him go so that he can train them to fight Slade, to be prepared. And then in the past, so Oliver makes her follow Thea around her two gravestones. I told her about the drug array. She's throwing a birthday party. You also see Tommy, and you see Tommy and Laura flirting at this time. They're flirting with each other. This is when they probably begin to start dating eventually. Yeah. But then we're back in the present. Oliver takes Thea to Talon's grave to grab a gun. They both get knocked out by Slade. They get punched by him. They wake him in a prison cell. Slade asks Thea if she knew about Shadow. Slade threatens to send their bodies burnt, but recognizes as their siblings. Says, I will kill you both. He didn't tell you about Shadow. Oh, your brother's not you about a lot of things. And I always keep my promises. You know. But then we get to the past again. Oliver breaks into the Queen Consolidated, breaks in the computer room, and some of this time he falls in love with Felicity. She just looks at, a picture of him and says, oh, you're cute. Too bad you're dead. And I'm like, really? Just because the girl says, you think she's your future wife because she says, looks at a picture of you and says, oh, you're cute. Okay. Well, that narrows it down to your future wife. And then Felicity's like, me talking to myself, and I'm like thinking, Felicity's a weirdo sometimes. I know she's a sarcastic character, but her talking to herself was like, that's when her character was funny and awkward. Now she's just come to this point of yelling and screaming and being dramatic and being a pain as the seasons would go on. That's the Felicity I miss, you know. In the past, I had a sense of humor all the time, but now it was all yelling and all serious. So I'm like, Oliver rushes off to the party. Dig is guarding along with his brother. You see Andy, and the actor who plays Andy, he played a character named Cole in Anaconda's Hunt for Orchid, along with the actor who played Trent, Carl Young. You would see more of Andy Diggle in season 4. You know, Oliver wears a hoodie and happens to overhear Tommy flirt with Laurel. Oliver thought he was spotted when Tommy said Queen, but nearly it was Theo. Oliver ends up killing her drug dealer. Well, what happens is Oliver comes back. He's like, "You're gonna leave Thea Queen alone." And Oliver grabs him. Oliver like snaps his neck and throws him off the balcony, well downstairs, dead. And of course, Quentin shows up. Quentin accuses Tommy of being a rich boy and even a little rich brat girl, fusses at them, and she's like, "You're embarrassing yourself, Dad. You're acting like a fool." Uh, in the past, though, the party's broken up by the cops, fleeing Quentin. Oh yeah, then Thea asks what Slade has been said. He hedges that she asks about Sarah. She mentions by Tiny and Oliver. Knows of the way to possibly escape by would hurt Theo. So they have to escape from this prison. So Thea could push the button, but Oliver has to break her arm to do it, which works. So before Slade can get away in a plane. In the past, though, the party's broken up by the cops. I already mentioned that stuff by Quentin. Baso comes up as like, once again, Oliver like, come on, let's get out of here. And he listens. Thea spots the path and runs off. Oliver stops her before she get hurt by a booby trap. They wait a few minutes, then they ask about Sarah. Oliver then tells her about Malcolm had to do killing. He mentions the word she killed Sarah while drugged. Thea then yells, causes Slade to show up. Thea then fights her way free, surprising Slade. She knocks out Slade, gives Slade she just pretty good. Once again, Slade nearly kills him and shoots him in the arm. Thea watches Oliver and Slade fight. He's like, "Oh, let's keep my promise, this kid." Hmm. He breaks into his father's laptop, puts the flash drive with his father's messages, and able to watch it. His dad telling him about, I wasn't a good man, Oliver. You need to right my wrongs. I love you, son. Ends there. China White gets, kidnaps Mazo. Oliver ends up saving him though. Oliver tries to stop Thea from killing Slade. She says since the kill shot. Slade then tells Oliver that his sister's lost. When Slade mentions Felicity, Oliver is pissed off. He leaves the prison and locks the door behind him. He's like, "I'll get you, kid, because I need to keep my promises." Oliver, Waller, and Meso meet with the man in charge, that is General Matthew Shreve. And Matthew Shreve, we believe that this general is a nice guy, just like Edward Fryers in season one. We thought he was a good guy, then realized he's an asshole. He's a bad guy in season one. Same thing with Dr. Anthony Iva, who was basically insane, who wanted to heal the world by, infecting them with the drug Mirakuru. You know, I'm like, okay, he's just another Ivo. He's another Edward Fryers. Why couldn't we just have this? I like this general. They could have done more with this character. You didn't really need Amanda Waller in the show, I don't think. I'd rather just have something to do with this general. Why can't all this happen on the island? Be so much interesting. But I did like that Oliver went back. The only parts of the flashbacks that I do like are in this episode. Yes, but they think this general was helping them or whatever to debrief them about China. You know, Quentin gets angry with Laura for lying about Sarah. She takes James like then she dumps the beer out. Thea and Oliver return to Starling City and want to talk to Theo. Malcolm reveals that he's there, and Thea gets angry at him for brainwashing her to kill Sarah. Melvin her the whole time. Thea tells Malcolm they're working together. She won't be his daughter. I was like, we're done. And the episode ends there. So that was the return. Good episode. Yeah, let's see. We have about one, two, about 9 episodes left. All right, and the next episode, third episode of mine, is called Native Parbat. Native Parbat. Yeah. And then I might stop here for part 3 in a second, in a while here. Ra's al Ghul is in the Lazarus Pit, and as the storms in, tell him that Oliver Queen is alive in Starling City. She finds her father is already aware of this. She's like, she accuses that serial killer walks free. The Ra's says that he did not. He says that he already knew, that he knew that she didn't kill her. He's like, and daughter, don't talk back to me like this. Watch your tone with me. Rachel explains that I guess Sarah would eventually leave the Cleveland status, and by extension, Nissa. He never approached Prue because he was certain the relationship would end in heartbreak. Nissa similarly argues Oliver should die because of his challenge. He challenged Ra's. Oliver, Thea, and Malcolm are training in the lair. Pretty good, I may add, with swords. Malcolm tells Oliver that he needs to learn to fight with a sword, as his bow and arrow will not help him against Ra's. So he does learn to fight with a sword. He also warns that they should learn to fight together. Lee would not overpower them. Diggle comes in saying that their lair is about extra security. Thea is still angry though with Malcolm having to kill Sarah. Dave becomes annoyed when Malcolm addresses him to formally and shuns him. Felicity comes to check in on Ray, who has not been to work for a week. She finds him essentially working the Edson suit, and he's got like a heavy beard and showered. He's heavily working on his suit. He's so out of it that he nearly uses a drill in the suit that blows up the building. Felicity recognizes his obsession as being the same as Oliver's and tries to convince him to take his break. He refuses though, feeling helpless that he did not help his wife that night. Thea, unable to deal with his guilt. No, the thing is with Ray, he has his guilt over him not being strong enough to help his daughter, so that's why he's making the suit. So maybe he can help other people as well. Because again, he is just a man. And in this version, Brandon Routh, he's just playing Ray Palmer, who is not Superman. He's not invincible. He's just a man. But who needs this powered high suit? He isn't able to deal with the guilt of what she knows, tells Laura about killing Sarah, and she begs her forgiveness. They give each other a hug. And she's like, I don't blame you. It was all Malcolm Merlin. I blame Malcolm. Oliver continues to fight with the sword, but holds it like a bow and struggles. Laura comes in with the ability and mentions she does not remember Sarah's smile or laugh. Oliver maintains false nerves and tries to soothe her. She confronts him about the truth. Oliver states that he did not want her to fear she would react. Laura's insulted that he would think so, along with you, when he defends Malcolm. She even questions why she ever loved him and storms out. Oliver tells Thea, why did you tell her about that? She's never much about it. She becomes angry when he quotes her Malcolm and her. Though Oliver stresses that they need for what's to come. However, Thea reveals that they no longer have to worry about the flea, as she turned her father over to him, for the protection. So Thea, like for like daughter almost, turns her back on her father, and she tells him, come and get him. He's there to get revenge on him for what he did. Laura just as black attacks Malcolm, but he makes no impression on the advanced fighter. They are interrupted when the League appears. She tries to fight Malcolm. She tries to take a stab at him, literally, but Malcolm's able to. But the League shows up, and they subdue Laura, and Nessa personally fights Malcolm. She defeats him, and she says, Laura, you stay behind. Stay there, Laura just, in her black canary suit, just lets them go. And irritated and enraged, Oliver confronts her on her actions, chiding her for thinking she can take on Malcolm. He never shares anything about because Laura lets her emotions dictate her actions, which I do agree with Oliver it does. He wants to rescue Malcolm so that Thea will not have to live with the fact that she sentenced her father to death. This and the assassins guide Malcolm to the helicopter where she mocks him for what he will soon endure and never pardon. Malcolm turns mocks for how her father will never let her to lead the League as her relationship with Sarah. The arrow goes to the League, but is shattered by Nissa. He's able to defeat her, but Malcolm is taken away in a brief struggle. They go back to the lair alone Nissa in his designed cage. She meditates on, Oliver is still determined to save Malcolm. Though the others are merely a way of him facing Ra's again. Felicity reminds Oliver that he did not help him in the end, and he just is going to get himself killed again. Diggle suspects there's a deeper reason for Oliver's determination to go. but denies it. Nezu is the only one who can tell him the location, but she hopes he will die there when he goes to get Malcolm. Diggle wants to go with Oliver. Lilo encourages him to do so, as a Harvard soldier. Thea disagrees with Oliver, going to save her father. Oliver warns her that, while she may not believe it, her remorse returning father over to the assassins. Oliver shows because he feels guilty of his parents' deaths. Malcolm is put before Ra's, who rejects Malcolm's plea for mercy. Felicity decides not to check on Ray, who is annoyed to find that she's blocked him from finishing the suit. By password, she refuses to let him go in dark and chart a path. Yeah. Oliver and Diggle approach and then Danbart the attention of a sneak attack, only to be followed by a bunch of flaming arrows. They're unable to get Malcolm back. Malcolm, he seemed like he's in prison, he's been beaten up. He warns them of the trap. Raish is having suspected that they become. Oliver and Diggle are put on chains on the ground. Feeling more so about letting Diggle come with Oliver and decides apologizes, though Diggle points out that he chooses to come. Oliver acknowledges that he came to Nineveh was to save Malcolm, because he hated that he was beaten by Raish. Diggle says it's in nature. Roy and Thea are shared in the grief. They both kill someone who was under the influence of something. Roy tells her that he killed a police officer, rejected Murder and heavily regrets it. He takes to the family visits the family. He's like, well, this is the officer. This is the family of the officer that I killed. They tell him that you don't want to live with regrets if you get your father killed. You just don't. Ray and Felicity share a kiss again. They become intimate. They start making love. We'll get in the bed together. Then Ray uses the password. Finally finishes Adam's suit. Puts it on its side on top of which I was thought he puts a suit on, which the suit does look cool against the TV show. So the budget's not very big, but I do like the suit. I mean, Iron Man is better, of course, but his suit was cool when he takes off with it. So I think his suit can shrink too, but I think you would get more of that like in DC Legends of Tomorrow. Yeah, They visits Nissa in the air cave and tells her because they basically when she misses them, they did it. They put her in the prison. She tells them that I'm serious killer killed me, but she refuses to do it. Oliver is taken by Mesu to Raish, who comments on Oliver's previous chase to Jay with death. Oliver is content with dying. He's impressed by the man's courage. Raish knows that he has to die. Raish like there's a prophecy that the man that survives Raish Al Ghul's blade, he must become the next Ra's al Ghul. He's like, my boy, I don't want to kill you. I want you to take my spot. I want you to be the next demon. You know, the demon said, I want you to be me. I want you to be the next Ra's al well, not me, but the next Ra's al Ghul. And then the episode ends there. You know, to be the head of assassins, the next Ra's al Ghul. And the episode ends there. I might do a video tomorrow, guys. I don't think I'll. Banana Part, good episode. And then the next great episode, let's see. Let's see. I may not do a part 2 tonight. I don't know yet, folks. Maybe. Let's see. I got one, two, three. About 8 episodes left. I think I can finish, but I'm going to stop here. Yeah. So stay tuned for part 2.